Street stock qualified action about ready to take place here at Airborne to kick off the night's festivities. It's going to be Ray Claflin and Dave Drake setting the pace on the front row for the low handicap heat.
On the outside, and in the track position, number 79, Jim Mason on the rear end as we get ready to bring him down and get ready to fly. It's going to be Street Stock heat number 1. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Ray Claflin gets the jump on the start. It is Ray Claflin leading the way. Dan Dubuque holds out second. Kevin Sorrell being challenged for third by Robin Wood. And Ray Claflin, who has not had a great deal of success this year, leads the first couple of laps in the first qualifier for the stocks this evening. Good challenge on the outside now, and Dan Dubuque makes a run on the high groove. Little bit too high. Kevin Sorrell getting down to the inside of Robin Wood. Good action. Dan Dubuque to the inside. Ray Claflin losing the top position. And Kevin Sorrell ready to surprise them both. Oh, hang on, boys. This isn't going to work. 5 cars going where about only 3 should have been. They somehow make it work this time by. It is still Danny Dubuque leading, though. Look at Robin Wood on the high side. He is yet to go to the low groove. That's Jim Mason holding out second at a brand new number 78. Mason, who started shotgun in this, he worked his way up fast. He's working the back bumper of Dubuque now for the top spot. Meanwhile, the battle for third, Sorrell, Wood, and now Grego Lawrence getting involved, getting a piece of the back end of the Kevin Sorrell machine. Only 2 laps to go this time by Mason to the inside, gets into the 61 of Dubuque. It's going to work. Dubuque sliding down and into the wall. Danny Dubuque finds the wall, gets the caution. A tough break for the South Plattsburgh driver. Obviously losing something in the steering as he tries to correct the automobile, finds the wall again, and he is in mist smoke.
And it looks like we may get a tow truck on this one as well. And Lindsay, we're short, and we get ready to go. They'll come.
Ready to restart the first street stock qualifying event after Dan Dubuque's car has been removed from the speedway. Dan apparently did suffer some shoulder problems. He was a bit sore getting out of the car. Hopefully he will be A-OK. We are off once again, and Jim Mason with the jump. Jim Mason has the lead. Robin Wood trying desperately to get on the front spot. Kevin Sorrell running very well in third. And that is awesome. Andy Haywood moving up to the 4th spot, the final transfer position for tonight's semi-feature. It is still Jimmy Mason and Robin Wood now. Some 8 car lengths over the rest of the field. Good battle for third. Sorrell on the inside. Andy Haywood pulls to the high groove. But barring a caution, it should be the Jim Mason and Robin Wood show. 1 lap to go, this time by. In the 3 out of 4 final time, Jim Mason will hang on to the top spot. Mason first, Robin Wood second. Give it to Kevin Sorrell third, and Awesome Andy will be credited with 4th. Mid-qualifier for the Allen Lumber Street Stocks on the track now, getting ready to roll. Randy Yans, Al Madden in the front row. Randy Hayward and Mark Lambert to make up row number 2. Ron Weston and Eldred Hutchins in row 3. Chet DeVarney Jr. And it looks like Jeff Wimble in shotgun in the final row. The cars rev up. They are greeted with a green flag, and we are off and racing once again. Randy Jens on the inside. Al Matt on the outside. Rapid Randy tried to stick his nose in. Not going to work. Oh, but look at the outside. The 21 of Mark Lamberton. What a strong automobile that has proven to be. Randy Jens leads the way, but you have to wonder how long will that last as the 21 of Lamberton slips into second. That's going to relegate Al Madden back to third. Randy Hayward on the inside for fourth. Ron Weston battling that position in the high groove. And Randy Hayward kind of getting off the track a little bit, finding a new way through. It is still Randy Jens leading the way, but Mark Lamberton definitely putting some pressure on. Lambert, a little bit of smoke coming out of the back of the 21. Not accustomed to that. We'll have to wait and see what develops. The only car between him and the lead is the 34 of Jens, and he is trying to fix that situation right now. Al Madden has slowed up a bit. He gets going again, but the leaders will be catching him as they enter 3. Madden is in between 3 and 4. And speaking of the leaders, Lamberton on the high side finds no traction whatsoever. And Mark Lamberton again having trouble with the traction. Randy Jens desperately trying to hold on. He may be able to do it. He is not getting up the low groove at all. There's the Al Madden automobile. I said the leaders may catch him. Battle for third now. Ron Weston on the inside with Chet DeVarney Jr., the Gerber baby, if you will, following. Halfway by that time. It is still Jens and Lamberton respectively. The battle for third, once again, is Ron Weston and Chet DeVarney Jr. DeVarney making a move. Meanwhile, the front of the pack, Lamberton trying the same for the lead. They are quickly closing in on the Al Madden auto machine. Mark Lamberton going to try to use the 27 as a pick. This may work, it may not. We are going to find out soon enough. Ron Weston, scratch at Randy Jens fighting the pick, pushing Lamberton up high. Oh my, Mark Lamberton will come out on the top. Lamberton leading. Well, I'm afraid I missed the checker that time, fans. I never saw the caution come out.
And in fourth, number 14, Chet DeVarney Jr. And is that exciting or what? It's got to come around. I'm sure the drivers aren't even sure right now. But Mikey Wilder's going to go on out there and hand that.
We're going to have to check this. Apparently the checker was thrown last time by. I never remember seeing the white. Mark Lamberton will be credited with the victory. That will make Randy Jens finish second. High handicap heat for the Allen Lumber Street Stocks on the Speedway, sitting on the pole, trying to improve off last week. The only way he can do that is to win the feature. He finished second, his best finish of the year, out of Plattsburgh, the 91 of Wild Bill Fountain. On the outside in the 48 will be Monty Lemaire. Row number 2 on the inside, young Jason Leo, and he joined on the outside by another Plattsburgh driver, the Dale Earnhardt lookalike number 3 of George White. Row 3 on the inside from Altona, rockin' Ron Klein. Joining him on the outside in the blue number 81, Ralph Rockwell. Jimmy Young and Bruce Disselbaum make up the 4th row, and shotgun on the field. Your defending track champ, and on it, which he probably will repeat. He has a big points lead, the 76 of Steve Rennedat. Well, these are the fastest of the fast as far as heat qualifying goes.
And then come through 2 with their 3 and 4, wheel to wheel, up the hub, bumper to bumper as they come down and wait for the signal from Michael Wilder that we're underway.
Bill Fountain and Monty Lemaire get into him a little bit, and they're off and racing. Look at George White make a move on the outside. George White trying to follow Monty Lemaire through. Bill Fountain will have nothing to do with that, but Jason Leo wants to get involved here. 5 cars, you could separate them by virtually nothing as they complete lap number 1. Look at this turn. It is Jason Leo to the inside, trying to make it 3 wide. That's not going to work. Bill Fountain leading the way, but barely. Jason Leo sticks his nose under for second. George White moves to third. Monty Lemaire on the high side. He's going to have to find a better spot than that as Ron Klein works him over. It is Wild Bill leading the way over Jason Leo and George White. But just remember, the 2, the 76, the 1, and the 28 are behind him, all capable drivers. As I say that, Ron Klein getting pushed off the track. Apparently he has no hopes of making this qualifier. Bill Fountain certainly does. Now George White moving to the inside of Jason Leo, trying to find a place. There's no room as he has to back off. Jason Leo now making his move and bid for the lead on Bill Fountain. This time by will be halfway. Jason Leo pushing his way to the front of the line. Leo getting position on Bill Fountain. Oh, they get together, but no one can capitalize. Bill Fountain stays in the top spot. Jason Leo is second. George White third. And in case you don't realize it, Rennedat is on the move, fans. Jason Leo desperately trying to hang on over Bill Fountain, Steve Rennedat, and George White. That's much easier said than done. Jason Leo getting position to the inside now on Billy Fountain. Two laps to go. This time by 2 to go. Can Jason Leo hold off the hard charge and Steve Rennedat? Well, that'll help him. Rennedat and Fountain get together. Fountain suffers the worst. Rennedat picks it up in third. But to get to Leo, he now has to get by George White. Meanwhile, Jimmy Young working over the 76 machine. Final lap, this time by Jason Leo, 2 holding down the third spot. And now George White makes his bid for the lead. He touches Leo, but they keep up straight as they come down for the checkered. It is going to be Jason Leo winning it. But I got news for you. Lion Tiger, he number 1 on the Speedway. They have 50 laps of International Series racing facing them later this evening. Starting on the pole will be the 71 of Lester Armel. On the outside, a car to watch, the 32 of Jean-Paul Cyr. Those are the 2 gentlemen to set the pace as they come off of 4 to take the green. And Jean-Paul Cyr gets a nice little jump to take Pete Fecto with him. It is Jean-Paul Cyr leading the way over Pete Fecto. Lester Armel battling for third. He loses that spot to Dwayne Lamphere. It is Cyr, Fecto, and Dwayne Lamphere, your top 3. A little bit of distance to former pole sitter Lester Armel. Then Mark Lamphere. And look at Jim Silly make a move on the inside as he gets Joe Thomas in turn 3. Jean-Paul Cyr and Pete Fecto, 1-2. Dwayne Lamphere falling back a bit. The battle is for 4th with Jim Silly, Lester Armel, and Dave Wickham. But as it stands now, it looks like Jean-Paul Cyr is definitely in the position to win this first heat. Dave Wickham losing it. Mark Lanphier goes the wrong way. Mark Lanphier still parked between turns 1 and 2. That's going to bring out a caution. We get ready to go back to green flag action. It will be Jean-Paul Cyr, who did not want to see a caution. He had a comfortable cushion over Pete Facto. He now looks over his right shoulder, and the 75 is sitting there. Mark Lanphier able to rejoin, but Lester Armel has pitted his automobile and yet to make an appearance. He won't as we get back underway. Jean-Paul Cyr leads him in turn 1. Dwayne Lanphier to the inside of Pete Facto. Battle for 4th and 5th, Dave Wickham and Jim Silly. This time by will be halfway. And now Jean-Paul Cyr has got to worry about Dwayne Lanphier. Contact as Jim Silly gets into the back end of the Pete Facto automobile. A couple of weeks ago, Jim Silly had a little bit of rough riding and was penalized for it. Jean-Paul Cyr leads the way. Dave Wickham, nice little move on the inside of the 40 of Dwayne Lanphier. 4th and 5th are Silly and Facto respectively. Well, Dave Wickham becomes about the 3rd or 4th driver to have a shot to take the lead from Jean-Paul Cyr. No one has been successful yet. Will Dave Wickham be able to do it? Wickham, a couple of weeks ago, winning a feature for the first time ever here at Airborne. It is Jean-Paul Cyr, Dave Wickham, Dwayne Lanphier, Jim Silly, Pete Facto, and that with Danny Bridges, who spun on his own 2 laps ago, and Danny Bridges was starting to move. He now finds himself going the wrong way to one-way street. He apparently is able to refire. Well, scratch at it. Now he spins the car again in 4, and everyone avoids him as the caution comes out. Down 2 to go. Jean-Paul Cyr and Dave Wickham make up the front row. Dwayne Lanphier, Jim Silly in row number 2. Pete Facto, Joe Thomas in row 3. Dennis Demers and Dan Bridges make up row 4, and that late arrival is a 49 of Mark Lanphier. Well, Jean-Paul Cyr, if he's going to win, he's going to have to work for it now, as he's got Wickham on the outside. No longer, Dave Wickham sticks his nose in front, but can he hold it? Jean-Paul Cyr will not give that position up too easily. It is Wickham by half a car length, but he's on the outside. Jean-Paul Cyr has the better line, and as they come out of 4, Jean-Paul Cyr makes up the difference, but quickly loses it during acceleration. Jean-Paul Cyr back to 2nd. Jim Silly now on the outside. Dwayne Lanphier waiting for someone to make a mistake in front of him. Trouble now with Dennis Demers and Dan Bridges. Loop them in 3 and 4. Won't make any difference as the checker flag comes out for the 25 of Dave Wickham. Ten more Flying Tigers on the Speedway in anticipation of that 50-lap International Series race later this evening. Bucko Brandon and Doug Hoare make up the first row. Red Mead, Jim Barton in row 2. David Gay, Richard Bootsy handle row 3. Kip Stockwell and Norm Andrews in row 4. Steve Miller and Barry Schwartz will round out the 10-car field.
As we get ready to go in heat number 2 of the Pepsi Flying Tigers, as they ready to...
Bucko Branham, Doug Hoare make up the first row. They are the first 2 gentlemen to get into acceleration mode. Doug Hoare tried to jump Bucko on the start. That didn't work at all as Bucko held the front spot. However, going down the back stretch may be a different story. Doug Hoare having a little bit more power under the hood. As they come out of 4, good on the line. Doug Hoare by a mere inches over Bucko Branham. The battle for third as they double up is Red Mead and Jimmy Barton. Nine cars in about a 6-car length distance. Cars getting a little bit squirrely on that high side. You have to wonder if there's a little liquid down there, some moisture causing those cars to lose traction. Steve Miller getting into the back end of Kip Stockwell. No harm done as both automobiles really didn't lose any position at all. It is Red Mead leading the way. 3 cars battling for second. Make it forward as Steve Miller does a beautiful job. Moving into the third position. Resetting the order. Red Mead leading the way over David Gay, Steve Miller, and Kip Stockwell. And Bucko Branham has suffered some sort of mechanical problems. He went from first to about 6th in a half a lap. Red Mead isn't only leading over Steve Miller, he's increasing the lead. But now Miller has nobody to contend with between him and the leader. We'll have to wait and see what situation develops here. Steve Miller closing the gap in turn 3. Red Mead still a comfortable cushion. Kip Stockwell sits in third. Kip Stockwell moving to the back of the 00. Steve Miller trying to remind Steve that he's still back there. Steve Miller has other business on his mind as he challenges Red Mead for the lead. Good action up front. Red Mead and Steve Miller battling side by side. Miller's going to try that high groove. He's got some horsepower. Red Mead's got the inside line, and that makes a difference. Kip Stockwell trying to capitalize on Miller being on the high groove. White flag that time by. Red Mead. Steve Miller side by side. Miller getting the jump over Mead as they come out of 4 for the checkers. Let's give it to Steve Miller. Red Mead second. Kip Stockwell having to settle for third. For the Pepsi Flying Tigers, Chris Durkee and Brian Hoare set the pace out of 4. Good clean start. A couple of cars getting the back end not getting a good jump. But those first 3 rows hung right in there. Couple of rookies on the top end, Chris Durkee and Brian Hoare. Couple of very good rookies. Durkee winning last week. Brian Hoare looks like he could have won a couple of weeks. Not having luck fall in his favor. Maybe tonight. Greg Lyman holds down third. Dennis Carron on the outside making a good move. Carpenter moves to the outside. And the 0 of points leader and International Series points leader, Brent Dragon, in 6th. Started side by side at the beginning of this. They haven't left those positions as they have refused to leave each other door panels. Dennis Carron moving into third at an International Series race a couple of weeks ago at Senior Super Speedway in Quebec. Dennis Carron was a very fast automobile. Well, the problem with guys behind the leaders is there's no room. It is Durkee on the inside, Brian Hoare on the outside. They control the track. Scott Carpenter, I think he's got enough power, but he doesn't have the room. Brand Dragon slipping into fourth now in front of the 07 of Karen. And Scott Carpenter found the Ruby needed trouble. Trouble as Dennis Karen and Pat Corbett getting together. That's Corbett's automobile real firing. The 07 of Dennis Karen is motionless. No caution on the field as Scott Carpenter still leads the way. Carpenter, your leader. Brent Dragon runs second. Good battle for third here. Brian Hoare the inside and Chris Durkee on the outside. Now caution flag now, but you got to wonder what took so long. Restart, and this could be one of the best restarts you're going to see. Let's set the pace. Scott Carpenter and Brent Dragon make up the front row. Then the two hotshot rookies, Brian Hoare and Chris Durkee in row two. Now, you got to figure those two guys who led for such a ways are hungry to get in front of the two more experienced drivers. Let's find out. Into 3 out of 4. Brent Dragon did not get a good jump at all. Brent Dragon with a very poor start, getting back into it now, but that allows Carpenter not only to get the lead, but Brian Hoare takes second. Two laps to go now for Scott Carpenter. Last time around, and my oh my, Brent Dragon trying to go the inside of rookie Brian Hoare. That's only going to allow Scott Carpenter to get another car distance or two in front of him with the rest of the pack. It will be Scott Carpenter winning it. Brian Hoare for second, Brent Dragon for third. On the track, Kevin Sorrell, Greg Lawrence in the first row, Robin Wood, Randy Yance make up row two. Chief Starter looks the field over, decides they look good enough, and he's going to let him go. And speaking of going, Greg Lawrence jumps into the early lead. Kevin Sorrell is not going to be able to keep up with that. Randy Yance now on the high side making a move. Robin Wood decides to go to the high groove. Greg Lawrence leading the way over Randy Yance and Kevin Sorrell. 3 wide out of 2. The Gerber baby on the low side, but he's got the 44 blocking his way. Battle for the lead shaping up, and now Randy Yance and Greg Lawrence are going to have to battle between the two of them for the top spot. Ron Weston has slipped into third unnoticed. Chad DeVarney Jr. using the high side for fifth. Kevin Sorrell down low, and here comes Mr. Reddidet. Let's keep an eye on Steve Reddidet. Let's just see what he does as far as racing the line. Right now he really has no place to go. Decides to follow DeVarney instead of Weston. Neither car able to make much of a move. He's not going to increase much at all this lap. Meanwhile, on top, Randy Yance now with that much of a lead over Greg Lawrence. It is Ron Weston and Chet DeVarney Jr. for third. Well, let's include Steve Reddidet as he passes them both. Steve Reddidet from fifth to third at about half a backstretch. Shouldn't be surprising. He's used that move dozens of times. Now he goes to the high side to try to take second from Lawrence. That car probably handles better than any other in this division. And there's an example of what I mean, from the high to the low to take second. But Greg Lawrence is not ready to give it up, but he has no choice now as Reddick clearly in second. Can he make up 15 car lengths or so? First to catch and then to try to pass Randy Yance. You see the distance. Yance in 3. Reddick just entering 3. Good action coming down the stretch here. Greg Lawrence falling back steadily, now has to contend with Jason Leo on the inside. Meanwhile, Steve Reddick has closed the gap slightly on the 34 machine. But laps are running out. This time by, it will be 2 to go for Mr. Yance. Randy Yance, 2 laps to go, but Steve Reddick, he finds a whole new gear. What was a 15 car length lead has shortened to about a 3 car length lead. And with 1 lap to go, you really have to figure Reddick may actually be in the driver's seat. He is now on the outside of the 34. They enter the turn side by side, but coming out, it will be very close indeed. Very, very close. I believe Randy Yance took first, but what you fans did not see is as they went into 1, Mr. Steve Reddick got spun around. But I believe Randy Yance will indeed finish first. Appalachian time, qualifying action for these guys. 2 cars you may want to keep an eye on would be the 10 of Roger Labonte and the 07 of Rob Clark. Those 2 have steadily improved week after week. But in this division, well, who knows? Oh, sure, why not? The leader spins out. Labonte gets involved. We got 3 cars kind of messed up together up there. And we're going to have to throw the caution on this one. Let's try to get this thing restarted. I don't know how to explain this, fans, but as we restart this, we have 5 cars left. Unfortunately, only 3 of them were ready to restart. The other 2 are someplace back in the track. So we'll kind of focus on these 3, including Rob Clark of the 07. Forget it. That 07 Rob Clark simply outclassed its competitors up there in turn 2. And barring some sort of breakage, Rob Clark is home free, I'm afraid. Good action, however, in the battle for second. Rob Clark, a couple to go, and well, let's just say he is proven to be very, very tough. There's the 5 cars. I wasn't lying to you. Well, Rob Clark is not doing exactly what I figured he would. I thought he'd pull away. He's got 1 more lap to hold on, and it may take a ball. What do you know, as the 9 pulls to the outside. Yance looking tough, but Mark Yance having to pull back down as Rob Clark once again finds a little bit of power under the hood. That's Lucier in the 12, but as they come down to the wire, let's make it Rob Clark your winner. Close for second. Yance a good second. Lucier will have to settle for the show spot. The Legend qualifier number 2 on the Speedway. Previous feature winners really comprise most of this field, including last week's feature winner, Joe Rotella, Steve Dodge, Steve Benoit, and Junior Benoit. They'll start in the final 4 positions, but there are only 4 rows. Upsetter could be the 5 of Wells or the double 0 of the race, the mailman, Kim Williams. John Adams jump out to the quickly with the number 4. That may be the whole secret to this division. Just get in the front, try to stay there, as the other guys behind you just tend to knock each other around a little bit. You ever think you see Junior Benoit trailing the field? You just did, fans. Junior Benoit does away with Steve Benoit, working on Steve Dodge and Ken Williams now. Meanwhile, your leader coming out of 4, he's got a nice little lead. Junior Benoit burning that right rear tire. He is just smoking that thing. 2 laps to go this time by. The 4 of John Adams, still your race leader. John Adams has a comfortable little lead right now with 2 to go. The heavy hitters unable to really close the gap at all. Trouble as a wheel goes flying up there in 3. I can't make out the car from here. But either way, this is the last lap. And, well, John Adams with a very comfortable lead over Steve Dodge. There it is. Barring some sort of mechanical breakage or complete failure on the driver's part, let's give this victory to the 4 of John Adams. Dodge for second. Joe Rotella, last week's feature winner, will end up 3rd, and well, Junior Benoit this time having to settle for 4th. Internet, make that Flying Tiger semi-feature on the Speedway. 2 very, very capable drivers make up the front row, and they could easily be upsetters in tonight's 50-lap main event. On the pole, last week's feature winner, the rookie in the number 92, Chris Durkee, and joining around the outside, the 32 of Jean-Paul Cyr. Row number 2 on the inside, the 1 of Red Mead. He joined on the outside by another leading rookie, the 45 of Brian Hoare. Row 3 on the inside, the 57 of Jim Barton. On the outside, the 40 of Dwayne Lampier. Making up row number 4 on the inside, the 16 will be Kip Stockwell. He joined on the outside with a new color, 36 of Scott Carpenter. Dave Wickham and Jim Silly make up the next row, and starting in the shotgun row, on the inside, the 00 of Steve Miller, and on the outside, starting shotgun, all alone, Airborne International Raceway points leader and International Series points leader, the 0 of Brent Dragon.
Row number 3 is Jim Barton, number 57 on the inside, Wayne Lampier, number 40 on the outside. On the inside of row number 4, of Vermont, the number 16 of Kip Stockwell, and on the outside is number 36, John Carpenter. Inside of row number 5, number 25, Dave Whitcomb, and he finds the Sweeney Time target 0, Jim Silly on the outside. In your final row, double 0, defending champion here at Airborne International, Steve Miller, and on the outside is bringing out the final You'll find a full update on the International Series and the point standing in tonight's program, which is on sale throughout the stand and down by the canteen area. Safety crew doing a great job. A little oil to pick up, and the oil suits the variance when you talk about the legends, but these Flying Tigers certainly don't want to get into anything that is going to cause a problem.
Napa Legends threw some oil in that last qualifier. That's going to put a slight delay in the start of the semi-feature.
We have some tremendous whips to give away this evening. And
You obviously want to dry the track, have it in as good a condition as possible, especially with the Flying Tigers on the track. They're the quickest of the three divisions, and they tend to be closest in competition as far as running next to each other.
Mechanic School, all Sears products being given away tonight. Phyllis, a Sears card application or register with your personal Sears card. Sears, open tomorrow from 9:30 to 6. Monday to Saturday, 7:30 to 9 p.m. That's 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Lots of time to service all of your automotive needs. Sears, right here in Plattsburgh.
It seems like an eternity. We're going to get this semi-feature underway. A lot of liquid was laid down up in turn 2, and for obvious reasons, you want to take care of that. Real quick, once again, Durkee, Sear, Meade, Brian Hoare, Barton, and Dwayne Lanphier make up the first 3 rows. The cars start to rev up. That can only mean one thing. Green flag is out. Chris Durkee getting a nice little jump. John Paul Sear holding in second, but Red Meat is battling to the inside. A lot of bumper tag being played in the middle of the pack. You have to be impressed with this Chris Durkee. He won last week's feature, and it looks like he is en route to a good finish in the 50-lapper tonight. But a veteran pulls up behind him now, the one of Red Mead, and Jimmy Bart has moved to third. Couple of awful hard guys to beat. Oh well, Red Mead is going to take himself out of contention for a while as he drifts high, gives up second to Martin and then third to Jean-Paul Sear. He's stuck in the high groove. Meanwhile, Chris Durkee is still your race leader, but Jimmy Barton is trying to change that. Jim Barton finds a move on the inside of Durkee. Durkee left the door open. He may just pay for it. He's forced wide, and Jim Barton will take over the lead. And do you believe Brent Dragon and Jim Silly are the last 2 cars right now? Dragon and Silly are the final 2 cars. They have done absolutely nothing yet. Chris Durkee now going high. He pays for it dearly as he loses several positions. Jim Barton still held down the number 1 spot with John Paul Sear second, but my oh my, Dwayne Lanphier has moved into third and he looks strong. Trouble at Durkee, hits the wall right at the start-finish line. Chris Durkee's up in turn 1 along the wall. Yellow flag is out. Very similar to what happened to Danny Buke earlier. We'll have to wait and see if Durkee's all right. Hopefully, he is A-OK. The car has been removed in what was termed severe front-end damage. We're about ready to get this back underway. Jimmy Barton, Jean-Paul Sear make up the first row. Dwayne Lanphier and Kip Stockwell hold out row number 2. All kinds of trouble. Jean-Paul Sear got tagged, spun around in front of the field. A major collision as Brian Hoare goes over the front end of Jean-Paul Sear. Yellow flag on the speedway. Jean-Paul Sear, you can see, is refired. Scott Carpenter was involved. He is fired up. But boy, Brian Hoare went skyward. This may take a while to sort this one out. Track has been cleared. The only one of the three cars between Carpenter, Jean-Paul Cyr, and Brian Hoare able to continue will be the 32 machine, the car that got loose to begin with. Brian Hoare looked like he would be coming out, however, he repitted the automobile, and Scott Carpenter pitted it, has not been seen since. Jim Barton, Dwayne Lanphier, row number 1, but Kip Stockwell wants that position, and I don't think so. I'm afraid Mr. Stockwell got a little bit too good of a jump there. They're going to have to redo that one. Jimmy Barton and Dwayne Lanphier in the front row. Kip Stockwell, Dave Wickham in row 2, Miller and Drag in row 3, Silly and Jean-Paul Cyr round out the 8 cars remaining. We're going to try this again. Kip Stockwell doesn't get the jump this time, so we do indeed go to green. Jimmy Barton gets a nice jump. Dwayne Lanphier has to contend with a young hard charger, Kip Stockwell. Meanwhile, Wickham and Miller wagering a nice little battle for 4th and 5th. And Kip Stockwell gets into the side of Dwayne Lanphier. Well, that was a situation, fans. He figured he couldn't get him on the start, so he decided to take him up in turn number 4. We're going to have another caution. Let's hope this isn't a sign of what's to come in the 50 laps. Starter Mike Weiler gives a sign, 1 more lap, we'll get back underway, but you're seeing what's left. 6 cars remain in this Flying Tiger semi-feature. From the point, Jimmy Barton, Dave Wickham, Steve Miller, Brent Dragon, Jim Silly, and Kip Stockwell. Well, we're going to go at least 1 more additional lap as a little bit more work needing to be done. I guess some of these guys forgot the Demolition Derby was held last week here at Airborne, as they are virtually destroying these cars before they even make the 50-lap main event. As you can see, the lights are down on the pace car. That can only mean one thing. We are about to resume Flying Tiger action, but being down to 6 cars, the question isn't who's going to win, it's who's going to survive. 6 cars, 3 rows, 6 very good drivers about to do battle, and we are off once again. Jimmy Barton still taking the point, but Steve Miller taking second from Wickham. Jim Silly likes the way that was done. He's going to try it. Good action. Now Miller goes to the outside. All of a sudden, Dwayne Lanphier shows up. Dwayne Lanphier may throw a monkey wrench into the plans as he comes right in front of the leaders. Nice gesture from the driver of the 40s. He takes it very wide, allowed everyone to compete. Barton leading the way over Miller, followed by Silly, Stockwell, Wickham, Dragon, and then Dwayne Lanphier, who, remember, is at least a couple of laps down. Steve Miller's tried a couple of different avenues of getting to the front. They haven't worked. But Miller has many tricks up his sleeve. Let's see what he's going to go with. He's going to the high side. Meanwhile, Dave Wickham spins it. 2 laps to go, this time by. 2 to go. Dave Wickham still spun out in 4. Now Wickham fires the automobile. This time by, Jim Barton and Steve Miller will be greeted with a white flag. Miller has a half a mile left. 1/2 mile. Can he get in front of the 57? Meanwhile, Kip Stockwell up to third. A very good run for the young driver. Miller goes to the high side. He's got 1 shot left. But Jimmy Barton says, I'm a little too experienced for that move. And Jimmy Barton nips Miller at the line. Street stock main event, take to the Speedway. Starting out of the pole in the number 90, Ray Claflin. He joined alongside by fellow New Yorker, the driver of the L5, Dave Drake. Don Bourne and Kevin Sorrell make up row 2. Greg Lawrence and Robin Wood hold down row 3. Randy Yance, Al Matten in row 4. They're followed by what I believe should be Randy Haywood and Mark Lamberton. Then comes Ron Weston, Eldred Hutchins. We're all messed up now. It's a 21 Mark Lamberton, who came out late for driver introduction, tried to get a position back here. Now Mark Lamberton goes someplace toward the back of the pack. And we are off and racing, and Mark Lamberton, if he was supposed to start up farther, well, he didn't. As he is way back. Meanwhile, the front of the pack, Dave Drake gets loose, gathers it back up. Ray Claflin leading the way. Greg Lawrence with a hole shot, but have mercy. Car goes flying off of turn number 3. Caution flag on the Speedway, and this could be dangerous. Hang on, folks. When you got a full field of hard-charging street stocks ready to do battle, and you throw a caution on them late, who knows what's going to happen?
That's as far as we've seen the car go this year. And even worse than that is 4-0-2
back underway in the street stock feature. The car that went flying off of turn 3 in the dust was Greg Lawrence. He's able to continue. However, during the process of slowing down, one of the leading threats to ruin Steve Renadet's reign as winner, Bruce Dusselblanc, suffered some problems in the form of losing a wheel. Apparently Bruce Dusselblanc is out of this one, at least for now. Out of 4, ready to restart. Ray Claflin, Dave Drake, we're off and racing, and nice little start. Ray Claflin gets in the back of the Drake. They both straighten each other up. Don Moran now getting in trouble, getting back underway. Some of the top drivers are encountering severe traffic problems in the middle of the pack. The slow automobiles are on the inside groove. We've got trouble as cars go scattering. Trouble at 1. That's Wild Bill Fountain being sideways. Wild Bill gets the car back underway. Meanwhile, the front of the pack, it is Dave Drake leading the way over Ray Claflin and Randy Yance. Now Dave Drake is starting to get caught. They pass the Dan Dubuque automobile. Dubuque did indeed suffer some shoulder pain in his injury earlier in his qualifier, but he got it straightened out. Speaking of straightening out, Randy Yance going the wrong way to one-way street. We could have all sorts of problems. The cars go high to avoid them, and we're going to have to bring out the cautioners. Randy Yance is facing the wrong way. We got cars that are going all over the place. Getting ready to restart the first 2 rows made up of New York drivers. Dave Drake, Ray Claflin make up row 1. Kevin Sorrell and Robin Wood in row 2. Ron Weston, the leading Vermont driver right now, he looks to his right to see Al Matten finish in row 3. And for all you Reddit fans out there, he has cracked the top 10. He is now running 10th after starting almost dead last.
As they try to put that car out, and they want to get that safety here so that car continues to run to the inside of the racetrack, and the driver is on the outside with a fire extinguisher.
Well, fans, we have a bit of a problem here in the Mark Lamberton automobile. It is being pushed to the infield after the 21, ready for this, caught fire in turn 4. As they were getting the car sorted out for the restart, Mark Lamberton was sitting up in turn 4. His car caught a fire. So make that 2 leading threats to end Steve Renedet's reign as winner have been eliminated. Bruce Dusselblanc going out early with a wheel flying off of the very first lap. And now Mark Lamberton's out of it by, of all means, a fire. Obviously, we're going to take a few more minutes here before we get this one restarted. Now set to get going. Dave Drake and Ray Claflin in that first row. Neither driver has a feature win yet here this year. They usually tend to fall back some point during the race. Now, Dave Drake has been up there at a couple of occasions. Ray Claflin is probably having the best race of the year so far for him. Assistant starter Mike Wilder looking the field over. They are about as tightly bunched as you would want them to be. Good enough to start them on their way. Dave Drake gets the jump. Sorrell on the inside. Ray Claflin pushed up high. Kevin Sorrell will take the second spot over. They're going to go 3 wide out of 4. Hang on. George White making a bold move on the inside to move up to 4th. George White could be one of the quickest cars on the track. However, if you look behind him, it's Steve Renedet. Baby on the high side, Chet DeVarney Jr. Dave Drake going to lose that top spot. Now George White making his move on the high side for second. Then it's Kevin Sorrell, Steve Renedet, Robert Wood, and Ron Weston. And boy, when DeVarney got clear of Drake, he got a little lead, but now George White's going to try to close it up. Trouble in 4. About a half a dozen cars all messed up. Jason Leo, Ron Weston, and Ron Clyde are the 3 that are most visible. But we have all sorts of problems, and we have yet another caution. Very, very lengthy caution. Track crew finally cleans up the wreck. 2 casualties, a 90-year Ray Claflin who tried to push his car to start, unable to do so. And the 8 of Jason Leo with a mangled front end. Those are the only 2 casualties. As we get ready to restart, Chet DeVarney Jr. sets the pace, but hang on, 3 wide into 1, and Robin Wood realizes that was a mistake. It is DeVarney, followed by George White, Steve Renedet. Oh, George White is just driving the wheels off that number 3. Steve Renedet working on the number 3 of White now. Go to the high side, try to take second. The Gerber baby, Chet DeVarney Jr. leading the pack. Chet DeVarney won a couple of weeks ago at Thunder Road. Can he repeat here at Airborne? Nice battle for second. Meanwhile, the 81 of Ralph Rockwell has slipped into 4th. Never, ever Cal Rockwell out of a race. Halfway by this time. Halfway, it will be DeVarney leading the way, but oh my. Steve Renedet has 10 laps to work him over. George White may stand in line for victory. He is running apparently just as quick as a 76. Nice 3-car battle, however. Ralph Rockwell is desperate to try to join that. And that's as far as DeVarney's lead went, as Steve Renedet had it at the line. But boy, DeVarney fights back on the inside. Renedet thought he had him. DeVarney said not quite yet, but now Renedet gets a whole car lane, but DeVarney has the inside line. A car length at the wire. It is Reddit leading DeVarney. White runs third. Rockwell is now into fourth and challenging. And Jimmy Young completes the top 5. And the only 5 in competition right now is the rest of the field, about some 20 cars back. George White may have driven those turns a little too hard as he's sliding into turns. Danny Dubuque agreed with the black flag, but after what he incurred earlier, I guess the pitch is the safest place to be for the driver of the 61. The battle for third, probably the best battle on the speedway. George White in third, followed by Ralph Rockwell and Jimmy Young. Trouble, however, up in 4 as the 44 of Kevin Sorrell got sideways. He gets it back under control, but as you see, caution is thrown.
With 5 laps to go, may I remind you, this is lap 1 for your Sears application.
Ready to restart the street stock feature this evening here at Sears Night. Steve Reddit and Chet DeVarney set the pace out of turn 4. Chet DeVarney trying to get the jump. Not a chance. Reddit had just too much power under the hood on that restart. George White battling for third. Ralph Rockwell with a very good run handling down 4. Jimmy Young and Monty Lemire battle of 5th and 6th spots. This time by. 5 laps more for Steve Reddit to pick up yet another feature win here at Airborne. Chet DeVarney, his closest pursuer. George White holds out third, Jimmy Young 4th, and Ralph Rockwell round out the top 5. This is all the Steve Reddit show right now. It's Chet DeVarney can make no move on the 76. White flag this time by. One more lap for the 76. Giovanni runs second. George White third. And as they come to the wire, it will be Mr. Reddit once again winning it. This is it, 50 laps of exciting International Series action for the Pepsi Flying Tigers. Starting on the pole by virtue of winning tonight's semi-feature, half of the J&A Enterprises Pepsi Flying Tiger team in the number 57, Jim Barton. Outside row number 1, the defending Airborne Points champion from last year, the 00 of Steve Miller. Row number 2 on the inside, one of the youngest drivers to compete in this division, in the number 16 Vermont competitor, Kip Stockwell. Joining him outside row number 2, the current Airborne Points leader and International Series Points leader in the Dragon Wagon from Vermont, the 0 of Brent Dragon. Row number 3, on the inside, the 68 of Jim Silly, and on the outside, the 25 of Dave Wickham, both previous feature winners here at Airborne. Dwayne Lamphere, Jean-Paul Cyr, Scott Carpenter, Brian Hoare, P. Facto, Richard Bootsy, Lance Furno, Joe Thomas, Norm Andrews, the Kentucky Colonel Tom Tiller, Danny Bridges, Dave Gay, Pat Corbin, Mark Lamphere, Doug Hoare, Dennis Caron, Dennis Demers, Buck O'Branham, Greg Lyman, Red Mead driving his backup car after blowing the engine in the one. Roy French, George Egan complete the field, and we are under green flag action. Barton and Miller jump off to a bit of a lead. Miller on the outside, using the group to his advantage to get the overall lead. Jimmy Barton trying to hold the inside group. Not going to be able to do it. But Miller drifts high but brings it down. He will be the leader after one lap. One down, 49 to go. Miller leads the way over Barton and Stockwell. 28 competitors started this race, and you can look in between turns 3 and 4. He didn't come out for qualifying action. That car was the number 10 of Plattsburgh's George Egan, unable to qualify the automobile. He doesn't even get a complete lap in it. Now gets the car fired again, but as he crosses the stripe for the first time, he is literally a lap and a half down. And my oh my, Steve Miller opening up a sizable lead early on. It would be hard to believe these guys could go 50 laps without a caution, but if they did, it looks like Miller would need to brake to lose this thing. Battle for second starting to heat up now. Jimmy Barton, Kip Stockwell, Brett Dragon, and Jim Silly, who almost put it in the turn 4 wall. In front of this pack is the leader, Steve Miller, but he is long gone right now. Looking back through the pack, individual action is getting hot and heavy as these drivers early on fight for vital positions. This is an 8-race series, 3 here at Airborne, 3 at T-Road, 2 at Senair. They're running out of events, so every point is critical. The pack trying to close in on the leader, Steve Miller. Good luck in that endeavor, as Steve Miller has that car hooked up very, very well, something we have become accustomed to here at Airborne. Jim Barton won the semi-feature. He is running second, trying to hold off the challenges of Stockwell, Dragon, and Silly. Brett Dragon to the inside of Stockwell, not this time, but Kip may have made an error and tried out a high groove as Brett Dragon tucks behind the 57 machine, and it may just be a matter of time before Kip Stockwell starts going backwards. Well, trouble developing now as Brett Dragon falls off the pace. Stockwell getting a good jump on Barton. Maybe this is going to work for the younger. Dragon, who a minute ago was challenging for second, now finds himself trying to hold down the 4th spot as Jim Silly has definitely found a good groove. 99 car of Roy French now being lapped. Roy doing the gentleman thing, pulling way down the inside, staying out of everyone's way. And in case you're wondering, there's your leader, Steve Miller, still with a very comfortable margin of the lead. Nice run here, Jim Silly on the outside of Brett Dragon. Those two battle constantly. Trouble now in 1. That's the number 9 of Danny Bridges. He hand grenades his power plant. That's going to bring out the first caution as the 9 of Dan Bridges explodes the engine. And that's going to allow the rest of this massive field to catch up to that man, Steve Miller. To restart. Steve Miller, Kip Stockwell in row number 1. Stockwell has got to be trying to figure a way he can get the jump on Miller. Problem is, most every driver in the field has been thinking about that all season long. Couple of guys to watch. The second row, Jimmy Barton and Brent Dragon. Don't make a mistake, because those two guys will capitalize quickly. We are back on the green flag action, and Steve Miller picks up where he left off. A full car length by the line. Kip Stockwell able and lucky enough to pull down into second as Brent Dragon and Jim Barton battle hard for the third spot. Jim Sullivan now rounds out the top 5 early on in this 50-lapper. A whole pack of cars running very closely. Anyone makes a mistake up there, we're going to have a massive pileup. Jim Barton, having lost third to Dragon, now being challenged for fourth by Jim Silly. And Jim Silly looks like he may have a car that will be able to compete at the end of this thing. I have a sneaking suspicion Jim Silly is saving that car a bit. And if he gets behind Steve Miller in the late stages, we could have Jim Silly in the winner's circle. Kip Stockwell running a very good race so far. He's had a good night as he's run very good in his qualifier and the semi. And there's some distance all of a sudden. 2 car lengths between the leader and second place Stockwell. 5 between Stockwell and Dragon. And another 7 or 8 until we find Jimmy Barton. All of a sudden, the battle for fourth heats up. Jimmy Barton, Jim Silly, and hang on, because here comes Dave Wickham joining in. Top 3 positions have not changed. Miller, Stockwell, and Dragon. But fourth could change very quickly. Jim Silly goes to the outside of Barton. As I said, Dave Wickham has joined us. You got to figure Wickham may be holding back. Caution on the track. Caution for the 75 of Pete Fecto. Fecto coming to a halt halfway down the backstretch. Caution number 2 on the evening. The green flag either this time or the next time by. They double up now. Once again, Steve Miller and Kip Stockwell in row 1. Brent Dragon, Jim Barton make up row 2. Jim Silly and Dave Wickham in row 3. We've established those top 6, but let's see who's running behind him. It may be poised to strike soon with 17 completed, 33 to go. In the next row is Richard Bootsy, followed with Dwayne Lamphere, Jean-Paul Cyr, and New York driver Joe Thomas round out the top 10. They're followed by Norm Andrews, Dennis Karam, Mark Lamphere, and I believe the 77 of the Kentucky Colonel himself, Tom Tiller. Keeping an eye on assistant starter Mike Wilder, see if he gives them 1 lap to go. He tells them to double up, and they will be going next time by. Well, Kip Stockwell had this position before. He did the smart thing. He fell back and fell into second, knowing he probably wouldn't be able to jump Steve Miller. When that happened, Jim Barton was inside row 2, wasn't able to capitalize. But now it's Brent Dragon. If Brent Dragon gets a good quick start, he may be able to take second away from young Kip Stockwell. We're going to know in about 15 seconds as the cars enter 3 and start to rev up. Steve Miller and Kip Stockwell setting the pace out of 4 for the green flag restart. As expected, Miller gets the jump. Oh, but Kip Stockwell found another gear there. He pulls right alongside. Brent Dragon not able to capitalize yet. Meanwhile, Barton going back and Jim Silly takes over fourth. And now Kip Stockwell stuck on a high group, having to give up second to the Zero machine. Better be careful, the 68 is right behind Dragon. action for positions about 5 through 10 or so. In case I haven't mentioned your favorite, see if you can pick them up this time by. Some very, very good drivers running back in the pack a bit. Picking up the leaders in turn 3, Steve Miller, who has basically been the dominant car so far. Miller pulls away a little bit from the Dragon Wagon. Catching the 99 of Roy French again, who got off to a poor start. Roy French, not a regular competitor here, giving it a shot in an unusually colored green automobile. You can see the distance that the leader has to catch him. And as Roy French drops another lap to the leader Miller, they're going to be greeted with a halfway sign this time by. In a battle for third, Silly, Stockwell, and Wickham. Silly gets third cleanly, but boy, Stockwell and Wickham battling hard for fourth and fifth. And in case you didn't notice it, Steve Miller is definitely getting loose out of 4. Could Miller be suffering from some sort of mechanical or maybe a tire problem? That is the question. It was but 2 or 3 weeks ago, Miller seemingly had a race won, but as they took the tire lost the air and he finished someplace about 5th or 6th. The Speedway, and there's the reason why. Red meat looping the number 11 machine, and that'll bring out another caution and allow the pack to try to catch Steve Miller. Restart. During that caution, the officials found some fluid on the track. They checked the automobiles to see who was the guilty culprit. Now they seemingly agreed it was Roy French with the number 99. He's still on the track. I'm not sure that's the right call. I looked under the automobile when he pulled away and I couldn't see any moisture. We'll have to wait and see if the track gets slippery or not. Right now, it's all zeros up front. Miller on the inside, Brent Dragon on the outside as they get the green again. Steve Miller proves a little too much for Brent Dragon. Dragon tuck it down to the inside, probably the right place to be. Best idea is to try to work over the 00. Good battle for third. Silly on the inside. Stockwell back on the high side. Dave Wickham, he's waiting for them both to make a mistake. And right there, apparently Stockwell did, and Dave Wickham is in content. Wickham trying to take Jim Silly at the same time. Thomas now setting 8th on the grid. Joe starting in the middle of the pack. Hasn't really been a challenger. Yellow flag on the Speedway. Yellow flag, as you can see that Buckle Branham tangled up with either Brian or Doug Hoare. Bucko is moving. I can't tell if it's Brian or Doug. We'll have to wait and see. Not the caution on the speedway. Field is crossed, ready to restart once again. Feature winners make up the first 2 rows, and a lot of talent shared between them. Miller and Dragon in row 1, Silly and Wickham in row 2. And how about a hand for young Kip Stockwell, still holding down the 5th position. Over his shoulder, outside row 3, is Richard Bootsy. Jim Barton, the teammate of Bootsy, starts inside 4. He is dogged by Joe Thomas. John Paul Sear and Storm and Norman Andrews round out the top 10. Brent Dragon with another chance to get Steve Miller on a restart. Not a chance at all. Steve Miller got probably the best jump he had tonight. Dragon is second. I was about ready to say Silly holds down third, but now with Dave Wickham on the outside, as Wickham is exploding on the high groove. So Dave Wickham had been the surprise. Has he been holding back? His first career win ever at Airborne came a couple of weeks ago. Could number 2 come tonight? Boy, he says if Dave Wickham was shot out of a cannon, that car has found all sorts of power on this last restart. Wickham up to third, just zeros ahead of him. Brent Dragon and then race leader Steve Miller. Whatever Dave Wickham had maybe going away. Jim Silly has closed the gap again. It could be a matter of having had Dave Wickham tires cool a little bit more than the competitors. He had a great restart. Again, Miller sliding in turn 4. You have to believe there may be a mechanical or a tire problem. Roy French of that unusual color number 99 has been a gentleman. When he's received the pass flag, he has given plenty of room to the guys behind him. Well, Steve Miller now starting to pull away a bit from his competition. He's got about 10 carlings on Brent Dragon. Is it that Miller has a little bit more than Dragon, or Dragon losing what he has? Or maybe a combination of both. Third place car, Dave Wickham. Silly runs fourth. Kip Stockwell still holding down 5th. Now Richard Bootsy's the man going after that spot. This time by race leader Steve Miller giving the 10 laps to go sign. Now Brent Dragon nowhere to be found. He has lost even more distance. Meanwhile, Dave Wickham holds third. Kip Stockwell has settled into fourth. And yeah, take a peek at Joe Thomas cracked the top 5. Battle for 6 is Bootsy and Silly. And those top 5 cars are really spread out now. Yellow on the speedway, all kinds of trouble as cars avoid the 13 of Bootsy. Apparently Richard Bootsy is the only one who is going to be involved, however. Everyone else did avoid him. Tough break for Bootsy. Had been running strong, but had been running in the top 10. A couple of flames coming from under the hood of that automobile. Hopefully nothing serious. And we'll take another caution. The last restart. We've got 44 in the books. Only 6 laps remain. Steve Miller, of course, the race leader. Brent Dragon is now back with him outside row 1. Dave Wickham, Kip Stockwell in row 2. Joe Thomas, Jim Silly in row 3. Barton, Corbett, Jean-Paul Cyr, and Mark Lanphier round out the top 10. Mike Wilder taking a peek at him. Likes the way they look, and we're going to restart this one with 6 to go. Action in the middle of the pack, and Jim Silly breaks or goes a scratch. He simply got pushed off high. And now Dave Wickham makes his move to the inside. Wickham takes track position from Dragon to get in a second. The laps are running down, Dave. Do you have anything for that 0-0? Steve Miller opens up a bit of a lead. Dave Wickham trying to hold second for the man he took it from, Brent Dragon. Joe Thomas is up to 4th. Kip Stockwell is 5th. It is basically Miller and a 4-car battle for second. This time by, the field will be shown 2 to go. However, remember, as I said earlier, a couple of weeks ago, Miller was in this situation. He took the white flag and finished 5th or 6th as he lost a tire. Well, not literally lost it, just blew a tire up and ended up with a flat. He must be thinking about this as he comes out of 4th, because he's going to see the white flag again. There is your leader. He needs to break or have trouble. The race is clearly for second. Wickham second. Dragon 3rd, Thomas 4th, Stockwell 5th. Steve Miller in the 3 out of 4 and across the line to take the 50-lap International Series win. A very dominant race, to say the least, for Steve Miller. He didn't have to do a whole lot except maintain a lead, but he did it very well as several drivers challenged him. Final race of the evening, the Napa Legend take the speedway. 15 legends ready to compete for 20 laps or 20 minutes, whichever comes first. 1 car absent from tonight's competition, the Banana Barge, yellow number 91 of Greg Pahey. Well, looking at the official lineup and the way they're lined up out there, not even close. But we're going to let them go the way they're lined up as the green flag's unfurled. Roger Lucier with the number 12 going way high. And well, we've got cars all over. Mike Wells get tangled. He breaks. Mike Wells is broke, apparently. Word is a tire came off the Mike Wells' black number 5. It is sitting in the infield. John Adams, who won his heat, working 5th on Roger Lucier. Meanwhile, Rob Clark of the 07 has moved to 2nd. He's chasing Lazar down. In case you're wondering, Junior is about 7th. Junior Benoit with a 74. Caution on the speedway, and they don't see a whole lot of it, but the caution is coming out simply because of the tire that fell off of Michael Wells' automobile. Yeah, we're going to take a quick break. Shouldn't be long to get Mike Wells moved, and we'll be back underway. Wells gets out of the automobile, but the car stays parked outside of row 2. Keep an eye for it. Green flag is out again. And these cars aren't even close to being lined up, but that's fine and dandy with them. They just want to race. Rob Clark holding second. He has looked very good the last few weeks. He probably will have a good shot at the 42 of Lazar. Lucier has pulled into 3rd. And a whole swarm of cars now coming down. Naturally laying bumpers to each other. That was Steve Dodge and Joe Rosella. And Junior Benoit goes on the high side there. Meanwhile, up front, said he'd make a move. He certainly did. The 07 of Rob Clark gets the lead. Uh-oh, this doesn't look good. Cars all over the place. They bring them down. Don't know how, but Junior Benoit got out of another one, fans. Oh, but he gets tagged to the high side now. And Junior Benoit figures, well, this isn't nice. Meanwhile, the front and back is Rob Clark still leading the way. Good pack of cars. If they figure out, let's go single file and see what happens. Smoking Russ Nichols, smoking the tires off the 21. He may have smoked them too much. A 24 Dodge slips under him. And apparently we'll get possession, although Lucier with the number 12 may hold him up. Good 4-car battle for positions 3, 4, 5, and 6. Dodge working the 12 of Lucier. Meanwhile, there's your leader, Rob Clark, who is really but a big lead on the track. He's got the 10 of Roger Labonte about a quarter of a track ahead of him. But by far, the best battle on the track are for positions 3 through 6. This time by should be halfway. Well, it was announced it was halfway, but Rob Clark didn't get the halfway sign. We'll check on that one. We may have these guys go 21 laps. Let's hang on and see what happens, fans. Rob Clark slowly but surely catching up with some lap traffic. Positions 2 through 6 have eased himself out of it. Steve Dodge will be making a run for second now. And here comes Rob Clark to the inside. Those are simply lapped automobiles he's working on. There's a battle for second. It is Steve Dodge in the 24, reverse the numbers. Carl Hauser in the 42. And Smoking Russ Nichols says, hey, I want to get a piece of that action. Oh, and Steve Dodge gets into the 42 big time, brings Nichols around with him. Nichols simply completes the 360 and continues on, but the 42 is, well, let's just say he's stuck on the high side somewhere. Rob Clark, a commanding lead. sees the man he used to be second. And now Lazar decides, well, I guess there will be a caution. I'll get it underway. Holding second is, I believe, the 24 of Steve Dodge. Last week's feature winner. The 78 of Joe Rotella sits third. Joe Rotella not able to catch up with the Dodge machine. Again, a half a track, maybe a little less to your race leader, the 07 of Rob Clark. He simply is all alone. Clark, no competition right now. Steve Dodge has no lap cars, but he is running out of laps. Joe Rotella disposing of a lapped automobile. That was Junior Benoit, who apparently won't win tonight. The Racing Mailman, Ken Williams, in his 00, maybe lap before this is all over, as the leader is coming up behind him now. The Racing Mailman, who for several weeks has looked strong, is in jeopardy of being lapped very, very soon. It would have to be soon, because when he comes by this time, Rob Clark will see 2 laps to go. Meanwhile, there's the 42 of Carl Lazar IV again, going the wrong way to one-way street. Fires a car. He doesn't realize that Steve Dodge is coming up. No major problems there. Dodge able to continue on in second. Now, Steve Dodge has closed the gap. But let's remember something. This time by is going to be 1 lap. He'd have to jump in Steve Miller's automobile to be able to catch Rob Clark at this point. White flag honors this time by Rob Clark, who has looked strong. Looks that he will pick up a feature win here tonight at Airborne. There's Steve Dodge and Joe Rotella in third. A lot of distance between the top 3 as they come across the line. Your leader, Clark, coming out of 4. He will catch Williams, but he doesn't have to. So he is setting the pace and will pick up the win in the Napa Legends tonight. Steve Dodge will be second. And seemingly in another zip code, there is Joe Rotella, last week's feature winner, will have to settle for third. Junior Benoit for fourth. And poor Carl, limping the 42 home after spinning it a few times.